All right, everyone, this is Paul. Just wanted to try and walk you through, pulling in the factory file for these adjustable mounts. You just come up in here, open factory file, and you're going to open up the file you downloaded from the group. Pull in all the models. You should see them all right here. Want to make sure you go into the processes. Check your G code and set your Z-axis to whatever you use on your machine and your baud rate as well. You can change the build volumes if you want. I just have them set for what I use. The scripts I've changed to what you guys probably use, and I commented out some of the stuff that I use here and there. The speeds, okay, these are pretty tight tolerances. I didn't want it to have any play so that there was no noticeable lines or anything in the print, if the bed were to move. I just wanted it to be real good quality tight tolerances. Now, everyone's machine's different. You can run it faster or slower. It depends on the part. Like if you're going to do these threaded rods, you're going to want to do the rods and the nuts pretty slow. Same for the lower mounts, because that's where the threads are engaging. So you just want to make sure that you're doing everything that deals with the threads a little bit slower. You can do the housings a little bit quicker, and the upper wedges can be a little bit faster as well. But they do still have a tighter tolerance inside there, and where the top and bottom wedge mount together, it's pretty tight there as well. But you can always trim or sand or whatever you got to do if you have to. But as far as what I've been doing with PLA that I've been using to test this stuff out without using the heated bed over 50 degrees Celsius, by the way, you can use PLA, you just don't want to go over 50 C. So if you're going to go over that, you want to use PTG or ABS or something that can take the heat. Also, again, this is for PLA, so if you're using PLA, maybe all these settings will work just fine for you. But if you're using something else, you're definitely going to need to change your extrusion multipliers on these other settings. But I figured for the most part, you definitely want to be sure that you change your Z-axis and your baud rate. Another thing I wanted to show you is the best way to print this stuff is sequentially. If you try to do it continuous, even if you group them all together, you could get some stringing and whatnot, but it's just going to be more prone to errors. So you want to order all the processes, which they currently already are, in the order that you need to print. And you always want to print from front to rear. So the threaded rods are first, containing nuts, bottom wedge, top wedge, front housings, rear housings. And this is how they will actually print when you choose sequential. So if you try to change the front housing process to the thread housings, just rename it and pick the files or whatnot, it doesn't matter how you choose them when you go to select sequential. It's just not going to work. So choose sequential, make sure they're all selected. I set it to 120 because it's taller than the tallest item on the build plate. Hit OK. Here's how you check to make sure that it's going to print everything in order. All right, and again, front to rear, because you've got the bracket in the back. If you print something in the back first and then move to the front, it's certainly going to hit it. So if you print front to rear, you stagger things and make sure you leave clearance for your head, it's going to work just fine. So you got your threaded rods, nuts, bottom wedge, top wedge, front and rear housings. And in this configuration, nothing should hit, shouldn't have any problems at all if you're using a single head. Just a couple of notes. Threaded rods, the 4 larger and the 4 smaller nuts, and the 4 lower wedges are all identical. So if you do have a dual head setup and you're going to try and streamline some things and make it a little quicker, you can separate the housings and the top wedges because they're unique. Print those at a different time or whatever. And you could just print 2 threaded rods. Show you something like this. Side by side. All right, you don't even need those ones there. You could just set these next to each other, space them apart for the head. The first one will print this one, and then your second head, as long as it's set up in identical mode, will print another one next to it over here. So you'll have 4 in half the time. And you can do the same thing for these items. And then you can come back in and print these however you want to do it. But you can't use the identical printing for them because they're unique for their side or their mounting region. There is universal mounts. I didn't include them in this. And they're universal still for our machine because of the thickness of the plate. These grooves are designed for the 2mm aluminum plate. If you had changed that plate, they will not work for you. I did make a universal one that's just got slots on the side that you can mount a bolt through it. If you want to drill a hole in your plate, you can do that. But yeah, if you change that, it's definitely not going to work. Also, for the top wedges, if you look at this gap here, that's sized specifically for the glass and the silicone heating pad together. And it grips it nice and snug, and it holds it in place. You know, it's not going to go anywhere. So if you don't have your heating pad on the glass, that's going to be too much play in there, and it'll need adjusted or whatnot. If you are using something else, it may also not work. So you'll have to try it out and test it out. If you guys have issues or something, just send a message or put a post on there. I'll try and help people out as I can. I'm going to post some stuff on Thingiverse, and you can put comments on there or whatever you need to do. I'll try to help when I can. But for the most part, that's about it. So hopefully it works for you guys.